Hey folks, welcome back to another Throat Punch Lunch. This episode is called Weathering the Storm. That's because this weekend has been rather tumultuous for myself. So I wasn't able to get an episode or a segment for this episode my own self, but I've got 11 other contributors lined up for you that have done a great job in presenting some pretty neat material. So I'm really excited to get you guys into the episode. I mean, I've got Roy Cannaday talking about Rune Wars. I've got another really cool artist piece, and it's, I don't know, it's pretty interesting. I didn't understand the whole thing at first from Milea, but now looks pretty cool, and I like it. You'll get what I mean. I've got a good solo thrash segment from Liz Davidson. I've got some more strategically thematic stuff from Ambie Valdés. I've got a little what I like, what I don't like from Bryan. Got a lot of really cool stuff in here. Kickstarter Thrash-Up with Rob Oren. He goes over a couple things that look really neat as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in this episode. I don't need to have a segment to make this better. You guys are going to enjoy this, I think, I hope. Let's get into it.
Hi, this is Ambie from Board Game Blitz, and this is Strategically Thematic, a segment where I talk about theme in different strategic games. This time, I'm talking about The Gallerist. The Gallerist is a game where you're an art gallerist trying to make the most money by discovering artists, promoting them, and showing and selling their art in your museum. Throughout the game, you have one big worker that represents you, going around to the different locations and doing different actions. You can also hire assistants that will help you both with your gallery and in the international markets, increasing your reputation and bidding on works of art. There are a bunch of actions you'll need to do before you can profit from the art. First, an artist needs to be discovered before you can buy a piece of art from them. Also, when you discover an artist, you get to commission a piece, so even if the artist gets more popular and their art costs more, you'll still be able to acquire that piece for the original price, since you found the artist before they were famous. Since you want your art pieces to sell for more money, you can promote the artists, which increases their fame and makes their art more expensive. Then you need to get a contract before you can finally sell the work of art to one of the visitors in your gallery. Something that's pretty neat in The Gallerist is that you have a track to score your influence. This is separate from the victory points, since you just care about your money at the end. But influence can be used to obtain money, as well as other perks. For example, if you're trying to promote an artist, in addition to the normal action, you can use some of your influence to give the artist additional fame, which will help out later when you want to sell their art. A lot of the influence and money you get in the game depends on the visitors you have in your gallery. There are a couple types of visitors: collectors, investors, and VIPs. The investors tend to give you more money. The VIPs give you more influence, and the collectors can give you both. But collectors are rare, and you can only get multiple to come to your gallery if you've sold some art already. Visitors are also the ones who actually buy your art. Whenever you sell a piece of art, the visitor who bought it leaves your gallery as a happy customer. The Gallerist is a beautiful game with production to match the theme. I love how each work of art is different, and the game even comes with little easels, where the international works of art are displayed. It takes a lot of planning and preparation to run a successful gallery with valuable art pieces, and The Gallerist captures that feeling very well. Thanks for watching Strategically Thematic. Comment below with your favorite thematic and strategic games.
This is Roy Cannaday from Epic Gaming Night, and this is Roll with the Punches, where we take a look at randomness in games and how it can make a game exciting. Today we're going to be taking a look at a miniatures game that's hot off the press, and that is Rune Wars Miniatures. The Rune Wars Miniatures game is kind of like a mix-up of Battlelore, Descent, X-Wing mixed with fantasy Warhammer miniatures game. And in this game, there's a lot of different things that are very random, but it adds to the excitement of the game, just like any other miniatures game. But one of the interesting things is that you have these runes that you're going to be casting at the beginning of each round. So depending on what comes up, you'll have different abilities for your units. Different units play more on the runes than others. One of the ones that uses the runes a lot is the Rune Golem. The red is going to allow him to move more or less, so he has abilities that can allow him to move faster if there's a whole bunch of this red rune that comes up. So if 2 comes up, he can move kind of like his normal speed, but if 4 ends up coming up, he can end up running across the battlefield a lot faster. Also, the blue plays off of his ability. He's allowed to do brutal extra for each blue that's here, so he'll be able to do multiples for his dice in combat. So if he gets 2 damage, it would turn into 4 damage if he had 1 of these out, and if he has 2 of these out, then it would be able to be 6 damage if he got 2 damage. So it can really change up when you're attacking and trying to figure out what to do with the randomness of how the runes are cast. Also, at the end of each round, the reanimates for the undead are going to regenerate a unit for each one of these green runes that comes out. So it's always interesting to pay attention to the runes, and they're going to be changing up every single round, seeing how much the magic like ebbs and flows each round to see exactly what you can use. And then another thing that's pretty awesome is with each miniatures game, you gotta have some nice dice. The dice are like very small in this game. You don't really roll a whole lot. Like the spearmen here are just gonna roll 2 dice. They're gonna roll 1 red and 1 blue. And it's got surges and stuff like that, like Descent, but you're mostly looking to try to get hits to hit your opponent. Whenever you roll the dice, whenever you have a brick of guys here, a whole bunch of trays of them, for each front row of the tray, you get to multiply the damage you do. So say you did 3 damage. If you have 2 trays up front, then you're going to be able to do 6 damage to your opponent. And as your guys get beat up, you're going to have less and less trays, and you're always pull from the back. But if you have trays behind, you get to re-roll dice for each tray you have behind. So that can allow you to mitigate your damage rolls. And you try to get the good amount of damage and build like bricks of guys to be able to take out your opponent. So there's lots of interesting randomness in Rune Wars miniatures game, and lots of ways to try to mess with and tweak that with different special abilities and figuring out ways to best utilize those special abilities. But yeah, now I just need another contributor to teach me how to paint it. Thanks so much for checking out Roll with the Punches, and I'll see you next time on Throw Punch Lunch.
Hi everybody, welcome to this week's Kickstarter Thrash-Up. Well, we got some interesting things that I like to talk about. Today I'm going to talk about a Kickstarter that funded in 1 hour, and it was pretty incredible. The name of the game is the Drowned Earth miniature game. You can find it on Kickstarter. It has some beautiful miniatures, as you can see up top there, and I always am a sucker for a 3x3, you know, skirmish type of game. But they're doing a neat thing, and I think it's kind of cool. They're taking a poll on some of the adventures and how you can develop the venture and a character, and they're going to actually mold them out depending on the poll. The game is just absolutely gorgeous, and the only reason I'm looking over to the side here is to tell you a little bit more about it. The thing that just blows me away is the actual sculpts of these miniatures. I mean, they are probably some of the highest quality I've seen in a while, and if it lives up to exactly what they say it's going to be, this is going to be a great game. And I'm really looking forward to it, so check it out. It's called the Drowned Earth. It's up to, right as of this minute, it's 27,426 of a pledged $6,395 goal. So they're really killing it. 288 backers with 25 days to go, but by the time you see this, it'll probably be down to about 18 days. So check it out. I think you'll really enjoy it, especially if you're a miniature enthusiast as myself. It's by James Baldwin. I think he's done a great job here. Go out and support this. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you guys about today specifically is a game I talked about, I think in the last episode of Kickstarter Thrash-Up, and it's Heroes of Liminau 1914. Now, this thing was about to fund, but the guy decided to pull it off because he wanted to upgrade the rules. And I was intrigued by this because there's not that many World War I games out there. And it was just something that really caught my eye, and I was very, very excited about. Well, I wrote the guy to try to get a little more information, and he said, listen, we pulled it down just so we can enhance some of the rules and the solo rules. So he decided to send me a demo copy of it. So what I'm going to do on the next Thrash-Up, before they relaunch this, is we're going to take a real good long look at this, and we're going to dedicate an entire episode of Kickstarter Thrash-Up to see if this really packs the punch that it is with the new rules that he's going to be doing. And from what I've seen inside this box, even that demo copy, it's really, really cool. And I started reading the rules, and I really am liking what I see. So you want to be on the lookout for this. And next time we get together, I'm going to give you a full review of what I think of it so far. So I think I covered everything that I was interested in, at least. And that's what this is all about. The things that catch my eyes, the little weird things in life. So I hope you enjoyed this. And until next time, I'm Rob Oren, and I will see you soon.
This is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here to bring you another episode of Solo-Thrash, Amerithrash gaming for those of us who like to play alone. Today I want to talk about one of my absolute favorite games to play solo, and that is Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective. The Consulting Detective game box comes with all kinds of exciting stuff, including, well, a rulebook, but also a London directory, a bunch of newspapers so you can see what sort of clues might incidentally come up in your case, a map of London, Holmes's London specifically, of course, and a bunch of case books. So the purpose of the directory is that it gives you the names and locations of various people that you might want to talk to when you're solving a case. But in each case book, you're going to have different statements from those people that are related to the specific case that you're working on. So there are two ways to play Consulting Detective. There's the way where you actually read the rules, aim for the most efficient way of solving the case, and then you try to score yourself and beat Sherlock Holmes. So when you play that way, you're trying to interview the lowest number of people to get the maximum amount of information about the case, and it's kind of a race against Holmes to see who is the most efficient detective. You can also play the way where you just have fun, so you just go around interviewing people, reading their statements, and trying to solve the case with no regard whatsoever for efficiency or scoring. So honestly, I'm in the latter camp. I play Sherlock Holmes for the thematic experience, and that's why I'm talking about it here in the context of Amerithrash gaming. Some people might not want to call this a game at all, since it mostly involves reading. I'll just flip through this. No spoilers, just lots of text. You know, it's sort of a crime-solving choose-your-own-adventure activity, but for me, this is just one example of a wide array of board gaming experiences. And if you think Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective might be your sort of thing, or if you love it already, but you played through the original 10 cases forever ago, you're actually in luck. So they've recently released an expansion for Consulting Detective called Jack the Ripper and West End Adventures. So this is a bigger, heavier, fancier feeling box than the old one. Very nice. And it has 6 reprints of old cases back from the 90s, with some adjustments that have been made, you know, throughout the reprint. And they've also included 4 new cases that are interconnected and that involve chasing down Jack the Ripper. And if you like the concept of Sherlock Holmes, but you're really more of an H.P. Lovecraft person, you can also try Mythos Tales. So this is a game that's deeply inspired by Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, but it's actually set in the Lovecraftian universe. So rather than running across your typical garden variety murderers or thieves, you're going to run across cultists and elder gods. And so that also makes for a very good time. As you can tell, I really enjoy Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. Probably my only real complaint about the game, and it really can't be helped, is that there's only a limited number of cases, and once you solve them, the game isn't really fun to play anymore. So I had gone for a while without my Sherlock Holmes fix because I'd played all the first 10 cases in Consulting Detective, and there were no English language expansions until this year. So with the Jack the Ripper cases and with Mythos Tales, which is sort of like a spiritual successor to the original Consulting Detective, but set in Arkham, it has revitalized my love for this kind of game because there's so many new cases to play. And I hope that continues into the future. Happy gaming, guys.
Hey, what's up, Throw Punch Lunch? That's right, it's me, Brian Drake. Yes, I look rough, shaved, not shaved, ball cap on. You know why that is? Because it's yard sale day here in the South. I know y'all do that up in the North too, probably call it garage sale or rummage sale or something like that, but that has nothing to do with this video. It's just the only time I could eke out time to film this because, again, we're moving and that's been a nightmare. But today, on Stuff I Like, Stuff I Hate, we're talking about options. First of all, I love a game that gives you options in general, but we're talking about options in painting today. So if you've heard Sam Healey talk, Blood Rage has toppled Twilight Imperium 3 as his favorite game. You say, well, okay, what does it have to do with anything? Great miniatures, excellent, paintable CMON miniatures, right? So here's what the interesting thing is. You could go the super realistic route, right, and paint him like this, you know? And that fire giant with his fiery fire and all that kind of stuff looks great, right? I enjoyed painting this. This is my favorite thing I've ever painted in my life. Or you have options where you could do something like this. My friend BJ, he has a copy of Blood Rage. It's his favorite game right now. He asked me, he saw somebody paint his figures in a style that was more like a chess piece, kind of like, I don't know, like they're made out of clay or made out of something like that. They just happen to be washed with the colors. So I thought I'd show you this option to show you how to do it and all that kind of stuff, because here's the deal. Some people don't have time or patience or even admittedly the skill, and that's self-admittedly. I'm not saying that people don't have the skill. Anybody can really paint if they try. They don't want to do it. They don't have time to do the super realistic look, but they want to differentiate their characters. So I thought, okay, let me show you how to do this look right here, where they come out looking like pastel chess pieces. And think about like an old Greek movie or something like that, or I guess in this case Norwegian movie, where they have these little pieces on a playing board, right, and they sit them out. That's kind of what we're going for here. And basically all this is you prime the figures in white, do a heavy wash of the different colors of the clans, and then you do just a little dry brush of white to nick out those spots, those kind of raised spots like noses, shields, swords, all that sort of stuff. And you get this really cool clay look to these figures. And you can paint the bases white or you can paint them black. You can do whatever you want and just put them out there. It's just a good option to have if you don't really want to do the super realistic look, which is, you know, also a great thing. And the good thing about washing figures like that is you get all of the detail no matter what. So even if it's just one color, you still get all that detail that CMON puts into their miniatures. Now, for stuff I hate, I don't really have anything for stuff I hate today. I'm in a good mood. That's great. So, stuff I hate is moving. So that has nothing to do with gaming, but just enjoy. Hey, make sure to check out, you know, the Dice Tower channel. I've got some new reviews coming soon. Till next time, enjoy Throat Punch Lunch.
Hey guys, it's Jay, and it's time to talk about your Flair. On 15 Pieces of Flair, I'm going to show you guys some ways to spruce up your game room. Coming to Kickstarter soon is a game called Underleague. It's a little strategy card game where you're betting on monsters to win battles, and you're beefing up your monsters, and you're mitigating other monsters, and manipulating all the monsters on the field. It is such a fun little game, and I'm telling you what, I worked it out with Cogwright Games, the creator of the game, and we got a little package for one of you guys. We're going to be giving away one of the games once it's successful on Kickstarter, and then we're going to give away this. Let's check out how I made it. The materials we're going to use for this project are going to be a picture frame, gold and oiled bronze spray paint, brad nails and brad driver, steampunk gears, and one really amazing piece of art. First, we're going to take apart the picture frame and separate the two individual frames. The outer frame will spray paint solid oiled bronze. The inner frame will spray paint solid gold. After the gold dries, we'll spray on some oiled bronze, then wipe it with a dry paper towel to give a distressed look. Then, with the brad pusher and brad nails, we'll install the gears onto the frame. When all the gears are on, you can then put the frame and art together. Boom! There you have it. A quick and easy way to add some flair to your game room. Hey, if you guys want to win this, you just got to do a couple things. First, go to Cogwright Games Facebook page, give them a like. Then head on over to my Facebook page, 15 Pieces of Flair with Jay Peak. Give it a like, and then all you got to do is leave me a comment. Be nice though, because I'm a little bit sensitive. It doesn't have to be anything special. Maybe give Cogwright Games a sweet shout out. But that's all you gotta do. I'll pick from one of the people that submitted a comment on my Facebook page, and they're gonna win this sweet piece of flair and this sweet game. Hey, if any of you guys have any suggestions on games or ideas you'd like me to make into some flair, leave them in the comments below, leave them on Facebook, or leave me a tweet on Twitter @halfhandicapped. And don't forget, 15 Pieces of Flair is the bare minimum. Some people choose to do more, and we encourage that. Have fun, guys. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, it's Mark Zielinski, and here I am at Adepticon again, and we are at the Clash of Kings 2017, and this is for Kings Award. This is Mike Carter, and he is the tournament organizer. And if you've never been to a Kings Award tournament before, or any tournament for that matter, Mike is going to be here to allay your fears. Right, Mike?
Oh, great, yeah. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's all a good time, rolling lots of dice, and everybody's having fun.
That's right, that's right. So we heard we have 27 players this year at the Clash of Kings, and Mike, you're going to be running an event at Origins.
Actually, if I can get the schedule fixed right, we were running close to 35 events at Origins, including both Kings of War. There's Dead Zone going on. We're going to have learn to play Warpath there. So if you haven't had a chance to try the new game Thematic, it's just coming out this month. We will have somebody there teaching them. And of course, I'll be doing my Learn to Play Kings of War with it, and we're going to have 3 different events in the evening. So we've got the famous Big Battle, come and play and see if we can get 12,000 points or more on the table. We're also going to be doing a fun 1,000-point tournament where the players move, but the armies don't.
And they're all your armies.
They're all my armies, everything. You know, just bring your dice and take measure, and I can even provide those if I have to. But the armies will be preset. The players will move between them, so you'll play 4 different armies, 1,000 points each, to see who's the best general, really. It's really a test of the generals. And these are not optimized armies. They're designed to teach people. So there's no magic items at all. And a variety of troops. You're not spamming anything. So it should be a lot of fun. And then, of course, on Saturday, it's going to be the big 4-round tournament starting at noon.
There you go. So, if you've ever been Kings of War curious, you want to come to Origins and check it out, Mike Carter is going to be running, and his crew from the Ohio War Kings. They're going to be running a slew of events, which is awesome. So, why don't we go ahead and take a look at what a tournament actually looks like, and we'll come back with some closing thoughts.
How dare the rules I had.
It's 12 inch.
Oh, you were checking that. I thought you were checking charge range. Sorry. I thought you were checking charge range.
Air threshold, no room.
Correct.
All right, so that's what a tournament looks like for Kings of War. And if you can't make Origins, Mike's going to be at Gen Con. So what do you got going for Gen Con?
Gen Con's a great event. The nice thing, Mantic will be there. They'll have a full booth with all their product in it. Of course, we're going to be running another 4-round Kings of War tournament. We're also going to do the 1,000 points general, where the players are moving and the armies aren't. We're calling that How You Use It. Based off the old 1,000-point Warhammer tournaments they used to have. And also a slew of learn to plays, including Warpath with it. So we're running almost as much stuff from the War Kings as we are at Origins. Plus, other Mantic people will be doing Dead Zone and Dreadball events as well with this.
Right, that's fantastic. So, again, if you're interested in Kings of War specifically, you know, of course, come listen to us on Countercharge, but also check out all the events from the Ohio War Kings at both Origins and Gen Con. So, until next time, guys, take care. Thanks.
Hey, welcome to Throat Punch Lunch. My name is Bobby, and this is We'll Learn As We Go, where I'm going to be talking to you about a game and how I would teach that particular game. This week, that game is a Steph and Dora trick-taking game, Jennette. From couple terms first. You want to cover what a trick means, what a suit means, what value means, what a hand means. The first rule you obviously want to cover is that you have to play whatever suit is led. So let's say that the tiger here, she's the first player. She looks through her hand and she plays a blue 2. Now the bird and the bear have to play blues as well. So as you go through a couple rounds of a trick-taking game, obviously you'll cover the fact that the highest value card wins the trick. So whichever player played the highest value card, in this instance the bird, he wins the trick. In that situation, I didn't have this blue 4, let's kind of set it aside for now. The tiger, she plays a blue 2. The bird, he plays a blue 13. And I look through my hand and I realize I don't have a blue. This instance, you could play a card of a different suit. And so here, you might want to tell players that, hey, you have a choice. You can either just throw a card away of another suit that you don't really care about. The other choice you have is that you can play a trump color now. My hand, let's just say that red is the trump color for now. So I'm going to go ahead and play this red 3. Trump cards are considered higher value, than, so I would win this trick. Woohoo! Values still matter for trumps. So even though these are all trump cards, I have the highest value card. So now you went over a couple rules of what a trick-taking game is in general, and you could go over this game specifically. Explain that this game has 2 halves for each round. The first half is going to be deciding what the rules of that round is using this player board, and the second half will be the actual trick-taking part of the game, which is Jennette means no in Russian. So you're going to be deciding the rules of the round by eliminating the rules you don't want. So starting with the dealer, you take your Jennette token and you go ahead and put it over a rule that you don't want in the game. So at this point, now that there's only one rule left showing in this row, players can't put their chips on it any longer, and that becomes the rule of the round. The first player is not necessarily the person who plays the first card of every trick, just the first trick. Also be deciding the teams of the game by deciding who they are teamed up with. In a 3-player game, obviously, the teams are uneven, so the first player will be able to also decide who gets this bonus card. This just means how many cards you're going to discard at the beginning of the round, but also this will be a good opportunity to explain what this space means, because it comes up again on the board. This space means that if this is the space showing, that rule is not present in the game. So if this is the only space showing, nobody discards anything. Line 3 is to decide what suit is the trump for that given round. For the super trump row, briefly talk about how there are going to be more rules regarding the number 1 cards that you're going to explain later on. But here briefly explain what a super trump is. Super trump is a category that's even higher than trumps. Tell them here that the second person who played the tying card gets the trick. In line 5, explain the point system in the game here, but the goal is to have the most points by the end of the game. Also explain here for the first time that at the end of every round, the board will be reset and the cards would be redealt. The bonus card is given by the first player two smaller teams, and their points are double. And if it's 3 versus 2 game, then only one of the 2 players get the bonus card. 2 for the range of cards in the game. Basically, there's one number of every color from 2 to 13, and there are 3 ones of each color. If a number 1 card is played by an opponent and you win that trick, that number 1 card counts for a whole nother trick in the game. And this applies even if that number 1 card is a super trump. Rules, you are ready to play Niet. Component drop. Woo! Alright, now I'm gonna have to clean that up. Regrets. So, that's how I would teach Niet. Thanks for watching Throat Punch Lunch. Enjoy the rest of the show. My name is Bobby. This is We'll Learn As We Go, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm Forrest from Bower's Game Corner. I'm back again for 3 reasons where I do something vaguely related to the number 3. And we're going deep down the rabbit hole today as we are going to be taking a look at some of the worst games of all time on Board Game Geek. There are 90,289 games on Board Game Geek. 13,631 of those are rated, and I decided I want to know what the worst games of all time were that have been rated at least 30 times. Now, when I got there, I found out it was Tic-Tac-Toe, Chutes and Ladders, and Candyland. And then you had like Bingo, War, LCR, games like that, and we all know that those games are incredibly outdated and pretty terrible, so I wanted to dig a little bit deeper and find out the worst games that were not those old classic games, and here they are. I'm going to be talking about all 3 of them, and on a personal side note, I've actually reviewed all 3 of these games, so dear God, what am I doing with my life? So at 13,619, we have Battle of the Sexes, a trivia game. Tommy P put that in all caps, it was dull, 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 sexist, dull game. I agree, Tommy P. Saves the Day wrote outdated, borderline offensive, boring. Once again, I also agree. And then Wolf stole the show. I've had the displeasure of playing this monstrosity on 2 completely separate occasions and could die happy never playing it again. I want that to be on the side of the box. Target, slap that on the side of the box. It's still gonna sell, but put it on there. It'd be humorous. I would consider buying it if I saw that quote. Moving to number 13,609, we have the worst case scenario survival game. Another trivia game, and all of these are trivia games. The Last Emperor said this is the very epitome of a bad, boring game in every single facet of its being. Even just reading the cards sucked. I agree. Quintiarch put awful. I felt guilty dumping this on on a Value Village, a nearby thrift shop. So this guy hated this game so much, he felt bad donating it to a thrift shop. And then last but not least, Pretty House said, I don't recommend playing this game sober. And this game is absolutely atrocious. It is the only game in the history of my review channel that I actually stabbed with a katana. Yeah, that normally means you're pretty bad. Last but not least, we have number 13,598, which is Fact or Crap, yet another trivia game. So Rourke said the most fun of it is yelling out crap, which is something you get to do in a game. It's pretty enjoyable. Ika Stroma wrote, essentially a worthless and unentertaining game. And last but not least, Sorka, she stole the show on this one and said, I can't remember if we paid 50 cents or $2 at Goodwill for this game, but all I know is I regret the price bitterly. The cashier was sad to sell it because she'd been eyeing it for herself. And the fact that I kept another person from being disappointed is the only cold comfort I can derive from ownership of this thing. I actually kind of like that one, and I gave it a passing grade. I kind of recommend it if you're in the market for a mass market trivia game, but apparently I was definitely in the minority on that. Now, all three of these are trivia games. Next episode, though, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper, and we're going to be talking about the 3 worst hobby games of all time. So be sure to stay tuned on that. If you enjoyed what I do, please be sure to check out my channel. And as always, back to more throat punchy goodness.
Hey everyone, this is Tim Jennette, the Metal Meeple, and this is the Miniature Breakdown. Normally on the Miniature Breakdown, we're talking miniature games, but this episode I want to bring up a game that's a miniature game in disguise, and that's Mage Wars by Arcane Wonders. Now this is essentially a card game that's played similar to a miniature game. There are 2 versions of the game, just to point out real quick. This copy of it's one of the first printings, but it has been developed as Mage Wars Academy and Mage Wars Arena. Arena is the more complex one that uses the board and you can move characters around and things like that. Mage Wars Academy is one that doesn't include a board, and it's played more like a traditional CCG, except both do use the spellbook mechanism here. So instead of building a deck of cards, you're actually going to build a spellbook. And within your spellbook, you're going to have all the cards of your character. In this case, this is the Necromancer. The Necromancer has some rules for building his spellbook, essentially, the types of magic he can include. So if he can pretty much include whatever he wants, he might just pay double or triple the cost. And you can see the cost down here. That's the type, and that small little number right there is how many points it would cost. If that character needed to pay triple for it because maybe they're a holy class, it would be 9 points instead of just 3. So a lot of customization, but it does kind of steer you in a certain direction. Basically what's cool about this, and I'm not going to go over all the rules, but just some of the cool stuff about the game I like. Beginning of each round, you're going to take 2 cards out of this book, and that's what you're going to have to cast for that round, much like you would your hand in a CCG. The whole point of this game is each player has a mage. You can see up here the Necromancer. That's what the spellbook I was showing you is from. And then down here we have the Warlock. And what you're trying to do is eliminate the opposing mage. And you can see here the Necromancer's card and all those different abilities and stuff that's specific to him. Now, there are different types of cards you can cast, which is interesting. Obviously, you've got creatures, and the creatures are going to go out on the board, and they're going to move around and do their attacks. You can see here he has a 2-dice attack, and he's got some armor, or no armor, and hit points, and different traits that do different things. And then you can see the cost up here and where he goes and everything. But combat's pretty simple. I'll zoom in here so you can see it, and I'll zoom in the right way this time. If he has a 2-dice attack, you're going to roll 2 dice. You got blanks. 2 sides are blanks, 2 sides are 1s, and 2 sides are 2s. But the difference is one of the 1s and one of the 2s have a burst mark. Those ignore armor. So in this case, he would roll. I got a 2 and a 1 burst. Fortunately, because the Iron Golem here has 5 armor, so if I would have rolled like this, the 2 would be soaked up by the 5 armor, and then this 2 crit would go straight to his health, and you would put the appropriate hit points on him as damage. Some characters are going to allow you to roll this yellow die, which is an effect die. Sometimes I might say if you roll like a 7 or higher, they become stunned. And just to show you, there are tons of different things, different tokens in this game. All these are different status effects, and I know it looks a little complex and maybe overwhelming to certain people, but the game does flow really well, and everything about the game, which is the bigger point of the game, makes sense. So the way they designed it was every spell in the game works like you think it would in an arena style combat. Like firewalls work, you walk through them, you're going to get burned, which is going to stay around until you roll the right numbers. Ran out of time for this episode, but if you have any questions, feel free to email me at timjennette@gmail.com. Follow me on social media below, and watch for my reviews because I will probably put some Mage Wars reviews up. So till next time, keep on rocking and rolling dice.
So that does it for episode 21 of Throw Punch Lunch. Wow, I can't believe it's been 21 episodes already. Well, I tell you what, this has been a cool episode. See, I told you it was going to be cool. Anyway, I really do appreciate you guys stopping by to take a look at our show. We put it together for you guys, so we thank you for doing that. We'll see you next time on Throw Punch Lunch. See you on the flip side.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.